You know, it's funny that Conan became your friend, but not funny in the sense that he wrote for Saturday Night Live, and I can understand the connection.
Yeah.
But you, too, the famous story goes that when I guess Letterman was leaving his slot, they offered it to you. And at the time, you said, no fucking way, I don't want to do late-night television. I don't know if I can fill 5 hours.
Well, yeah, there's more to that. I mean, they gave me a contract with no obligation because Brad Gray is a genius at negotiating.
Right.
They gave me $1 million just to say I was considering it. I go, are you sure? I know. He goes, they got to make an announcement. So I was kind of tortured that year because I thought, oh, that might be really fun. I had a baby and a 2-year-old. And I had all this stuff flying at me. I almost got too hot for my own good. I was on cover of Rolling Stone twice. I got the Emmy.
It was after Wayne's World.
Wayne's World had exploded, the Bush Perot thing. So it was way, way too much for me to process. And Warren Littlefield, which I can thank him now publicly, gave me a gift for considering it, which was the Meet the Beatles album autographed by all 4 Beatles.
Wow.
Which I understand is now worth about $200,000.
Wow.
So I did think of it for a year, and during that time I was writing a movie with Conan and Robert Smigel and Kevin Nealon, Hans and Franz, The Girly Man Dilemma.
What a great team of people
I know.
to be
and
writing
really
with.
Funny script. Really funny.
Were you disappointed they never made that movie, the Hans and Franz movie?
You know, this other part of my life was so obscure and bizarre, but as it goes, we did make Arnold Schwarzenegger a key piece of it.
Yes.
And we did things like his house. Like, one of the funny things in the movie, like, we go to, come on in, fellas, because it's Hans and Franz seeking Arnold. We go to his house.
The real Arnold would have been in it.
Yeah. The real Arnold. We go into like a war room, you know, when they push the things around, and he goes, yeah, Bruce Willis is doing action adventure at Warner Brothers. I'll block it, Sony, with a Tarzan movie. And, you know, his doors were like 2 giant buttocks that just open, and we were going to be water skiing behind him. So it was really brilliantly written. And but I didn't understand movie stars then. You know, Arnold was sincerely interested, but he had 29 movies.
Yeah.
So once he fell out of it, the bottom kind of fell out of it.
Oh, is that the true story? Because the story that I had always heard was that 2 Saturday Night Live type movies based on sketches, the Al Franken, Stuart Smalley one, and the Pat movie, had kind of tanked. And that Arnold's Last Action Hero hadn't done that well at the box office. So all of a sudden it was like the Hans and Franz movie got shelved, which sucked for you because you'd put in all this time trying to develop it.
I think that's probably all true, but I think that they would have we could have rewritten it and kind of lowered the budget and made it.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But it didn't happen.
So, you know, you have all these decisions to make, and on top of that, at least you say NBC gives you $1 million to
think about
replacing Letterman at 12:30 at night?
Yes. And it was a torturous decision, you know.
When you watch Jimmy Fallon doing it now,
yes,
and he's kind of figured out the way a Saturday Night Live alumni should do.
Yes.
Now do you look at it and say, oh, you know, maybe I could have done some sketches. I could have had some light patter.
Yeah.
You know, like, now do you get that you could have done that and been really good at it?
I think I would have been fine. And the main reason, you know, after the fact, you know why you'd be fine? Because the 3 people over my shoulders would have been Robert Smigel, Conan O'Brien, and Louis C.K.
Right.
So you could not fail with that brain trust. So I feel like I would have been fine with it. I just, with my personality at the time, I wasn't sure. I thought maybe that was a single man's game at the time, just because of the energy and neurosis it would take to be on TV every day. But I assume you get used to it.
You're saying Conan probably would have been your writer. And,
or producer.
Wow.
Or producer.
Boy, that would have been a good team, huh?
Yeah. So, you know, life's short, you know.
Smigel's something, huh?
Smigel is the single greatest. If you have to pick one.
Right.
If you're going to start a writing staff for sketch comedy, you get Smigel. And if you're going to start a sketch comedy troupe, you get Hartman.